Hey guys, welcome to episode 2 of the gaming show. My host James, and we have a special guest here, Robin. I'm Sean.
Hey Robin.
How you guys doing?
Well, listen, anytime I can get on a live stream and I see James Brown across from me, I know that this thing's about to get really interesting. So,
interesting, maybe. Palatable, probably.
Awesome,
we'll
Sean.
We'll try and keep it on the interesting end of things.
Sean, what do you got planned to talk on
tonight? Basically, the first half of this episode, we're going to be talking about the future of Star Wars gaming and kind of the future of the Star Wars gaming. And recently, I was just watching Hello Greedo, if you guys know Hello Greedo on YouTube. He was talking about his kind of opinion on the state of the future of Star Wars gaming, and it's not right now. It's not in a good place,
right?
And especially with EA and all that, and it's kind of hard to get out of it when EA is controlling the video games. Video and content that we want to get, for me, I want to have more video games that's less mainstream and more fan friendly, smaller based community games that we would love to have.
It's interesting. I have to agree with that to a certain extent.
James?
I feel. Yeah, I mean, James, you work on this show. You do this with Sean. I'd like to hear your opinions first, actually.
Well, back in my opinion on current Star Wars gaming is we haven't had a good Star Wars game come out since the first Force Unleashed.
Right.
And I mean, the first Battlefront, the new Battlefront that came out, that was all right, but it was just pretty much Battlefield with an E11 blaster rifle instead of a bolt action World War I rifle. There's really no difference. And that just kind of pissed me off a little bit. And the fact that we haven't really had a good game since Force Unleashed, and you go back from there and you can actually watch the progression of Star Wars games get progressively worse. And you came out with, the old 1980s Game Boy games, which were, horrible. But that's because they were 1980s games. And for the time, they were like top of the line. And you had X-Wing and you had TIE Fighter. And all these games, Star Wars Droid Works, which I was talking about with the Windows 98 game, which I was talking about with Sean earlier.
Yeah.
He said never played it, and I just made me realize how old I actually am. And then we go with, they came out with Rogue Squadron from the Nintendo 64, and then Rogue Leader for GameCube, Bounty Hunter, and then one of the most underrated games I think they came out with was Rebel Commando, and that was one of those games where it was a great game. And you could run through this whole squad-based, first-person, almost Halo-esque shooter as one of the clone commandos from Star Wars, from the Clone Wars. And you're fighting Trandoshans on Kashyyyk, and you're fighting the Geonosians on Geonosis during the Clone Wars. And the whole game just got kind of real for a while. And they were going to do a sequel, and they just never did. And I wish they would go back to that kind of era of gaming, where you have these big, expansive, epic, either first-person or third-person games, and you got everything from just the linear shooters up to Knights of the Old Republic, which is the turn-based, essentially RPG. And we were also talking about they now have the full Old Republic, the MMO, Star Wars Galaxies.
Yeah.
Star Wars Galaxies was a hell of a game, and when the servers shut down for that, I was really, really upset because that's one of the only MMOs I've ever been able to get into. And I wish they would go back to that instead of just
we haven't had any good MMO Star Wars games. I would love to have more.
But I'd like to go back to that era of kind of like big, expansive Star Wars games, as opposed to these online. Please excuse the fact that Queen Amidala dropped my phone. I have the Queen Amidala set up, holding my phone on her arm for my lack of phone thing. She caught one look at me and she was just like, God, that guy's way sexier than Anakin, and then just dropped my phone. Like I was saying, I'd like to go back to that era of like big, expansive Star Wars games that actually have their own storyline while still remaining with the current canon. and taking us and giving us a deeper view into the Star Wars universe and the Star Wars lore. I'd like to see more of that.
Right.
So, state of the Star Wars gaming, my friends, the State of the Union is not good. Anyway.
Sorry, can you say that again? You were kind of cutting off.
I said the state of Star Wars gaming is less than ideal at this time. I'm sick of the Battlefield knockoffs. I want a real game. I'll put it that way.
I think that's what we all want. Robin, what's your opinion more opinion of the state of the Star Wars games right now?
Number one, James, can I just say this, James? You using Amidala to hold your phone is probably the most Star Wars thing I've heard all day. So bravo to you. That was pretty epic, actually. I hope people catch it in the audio, you dropping the phone, because I think that's...
Well, yeah, no, I really do too, but it's the fact that the cup actually has enough strength in its arms to hold my phone up, too, which is great. Just for anybody who's listening to this and not watching the stream, it's a Queen Amidala collectible cup that's got the movable arms and everything, and she's the lid of the cup, and things totally weird, but I got it for free for my birthday, and I was just like, this thing needs to go in the collection, because this is going to be one of those things that people are going to be like, what the hell is that?
And the whole thing with the state of the Star Wars gaming world, Sean, which I think is such a major piece of this galaxy far, far away, and you and I have talked about it ever since we started the podcast network and started just discussing Star Wars. And the big thing is that the gaming world and Star Wars are just so important to each other overall. The fandom always looks for something within the gaming world to go to really enjoy. Knights of the Old Republic was such a great example of that. You could play it across so many different platforms. Then you get into Force Unleashed. Then you get into, obviously, you can even throw it back even further. Some of the stuff, Shadows of the Empire. You can throw it into some of the classic Nintendo 64 games. I know some people who even remember the Sega game. The one where you had little Luke Skywalker and you would you jump around, Star Wars for Sega. That was some early stuff. And I think for the fandom, throwback is good, guys. Throwback is really, really good. And if Star Wars can find a way to continue to take those same elements and push them forward in their games, I don't, like you said, James, I don't need another Battlefield with Star Wars. I don't need that. I need something where I can get involved, I can put myself into the story and get some adventures rolling.
We need to stop sequels and more sequel games. We just need something new. And I wish Star Wars 1313 hadn't been canceled. I think that would have been a really cool game, but I don't know.
Now, if I may, what I would like to see is I would like to see either an open world, expansive Star Wars game that'll be the only thing that comes out for a few years, or maybe something like something along the lines of Star Wars, but like a Skyrim type thing, or like a Fallout type thing, but in the Star Wars universe. And by the way, there's a great mod for Fallout 4 where you actually turn the Brotherhood of Steel into the Empire, and Darth Vader's the head of the Brotherhood of Steel. And it totally messes up the gameplay, but it's totally awesome because you have the airship coming in with the Empire side on the side, and everybody's in white power armor. It's cool. But anyway, I'd like to see something like that. Or if they took another series of games that I really enjoyed, not necessarily from a storyline aspect, because the storyline was kind of meh, but the gameplay aspect was the Far Cry series, especially once you got past Far Cry 1, which was just the linear first-person shooter, Far Cry 2, which was their horrible attempt at an open world. Then you get Far Cry 3 and 4, which were an open world type thing, but you had to be a certain level to get to certain areas of the map without dying horribly. And just the progression and the leveling system they had in that, I think that would really fit well into a Star Wars gaming universe, especially if you found yourself as, a young stormtrooper candidate, or you find yourself as, a young Jedi Knight in the Old Republic, or even you have the option of choosing whether or not you want to be a Jedi or a Sith at the beginning of the game, and kind of pick up from there. Not necessarily like you would with Knights of the Old Republic, where you throughout the game you kind of progress towards light or dark, but make that choice at the beginning and have a completely different storyline there. But just something that gives us a little bit more lore to go on and a little bit more of a view into that universe, like Knights of the Old Republic did.
Right, and I think you make it a very good point. Like that type of edgy gaming that we need from Star Wars, and we really haven't had any recently. I mean, the last edgy one was probably Force Unleashed 1, and that's not really an edgy game. But for me, I would love to see a Star Wars game kind of like BioShock, like a BioShock type Star Wars thriller game.
Yeah, that's what I liked about the Rebel Commando game, the Republic Commando.
Or kind of something like Alien Isolation, like something similar to that. But as a Star Wars, and you're going through fighting, maybe you'd be like a rebel you're stuck in some space and fighting through creatures or something like that. And I think it would be different, but it'd be Star Wars lore and at least you need a good storyline, of course.
You know what? Would be a really good game for them to do. You play as Ezra Bridger. And you get to follow Ezra from when he meets Kanan and them. Like, your first mission is you trying to steal like Maluran fruits and whatever else from the marketplace from the Imperials, and you meet the rebels, and you get to follow him through his progression through the series. You already know what's going to happen because of the series, but maybe you take it onto that little period of time there, insert the game into the period of time in between when he was a kid in season 2 and in season 3 when we saw kind of like a grown-up, darker, grittier Ezra. What made him like that? Maybe play that segment as Ezra. I think that'd be kind of cool. Like a Jedi Academy type thing.
That's a really interesting point, James and Sean, because I feel that's the one thing that Star Wars gaming, and I do have to say, if people have played Battlefront 2, they understand within the story section of it, there's a lot that happens with Luke Skywalker and a lot that happens in terms of how that plays into the canon, in terms of some of the elements that we see on Octu of Luke Skywalker. I'm talking about the compass. I'm talking about all these different things that were kind of thrown in there because of the canon. And I feel like the canon has to translate itself better into gaming. We have to find a way to connect the stories that people are getting accustomed to in books, comics, and even on the big screen, and start throwing that more into the video games, because not only is that big for the fans in making those connections, but you also want your product to match exactly what the format is and what the purpose of that is. And I think in the broad spectrum of it all, here's another great game idea, I think. Just saying this ahead of time, have either of you read Empire's End by Chuck Wendig, the last in the Aftermath trilogy?
No.
Okay. Well, this isn't.
Was that the one that you lent me?
Yes.
Yes, then I have read it.
Okay. Very good. Sean, what about you?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so this isn't really terrible spoilers for you. It's just an element of the Force in which is discussed in the book. But Yupe Tashu
so also
is
fair case in point.
Yes.
I'm never going to get to read these books, so I really don't care about the spoilers because I don't have time, and it sucks.
Exactly, and you know what? That's why I wanted to bring this up, is because
is that the one that I tried to read?
You tried to read the first one. You tried to read the first Aftermath book, which is a tough one. That's a really tough book to get through.
Like 5 pages in it.
So wait, you lent me the third book in a series without letting me read the first ones first?
Because the first ones are not worth your time. That's why. I'm telling you that, Scott.
But you didn't tell me that. That's why it was so hard for me to get into, because I was just jumping into the middle of a story.
Then listen, Scott Inch, you're listening. I know you are. Please explain to James why I'm saying this. Please.
Also, hold on. Scott Inch, if you're listening, and I swear to God, if you drop any spoilers about any of the Marvel movies at all, even in that group chat, I will fly my ass to Scotland dressed like Al Pacino, and I will knock on your friggin' door and make you say hello to my little friend. That is all.
Back to the point I was trying to make. No, it's so overall, Yuppie Tashu, who was associated with the Emperor, and also was kind of the founder of this new rise of the First Order, you could say, on Jakku. There's a group of young, or you could say younglings, who are acolytes of the dark side, Sean. And their job is to basically, through the guidance of Yuppie Tashu, is to collect Sith relics and Jedi relics and use them for the purpose of the dark side and try to not necessarily be Force users, but try to work their way up and defeat the rest of their peers to get to the place where they want to be. And in terms of gaming, I would love to see like an Acolytes video game where you start as this youngling and you work your way with the guidance of Yuppie Tashu and you finally turn on him. Then you're faced with having to collect these relics and face against elements of the Force that you did not know existed. A little bit of a Force Unleashed, however, the end product is Supreme Leader Snoke, and that's a great connection to the canon. And I feel like if you could bring that through gaming, that'd be really, really cool.
I think fans would enjoy that if it was. I mean, we all have some great ideas for video games, but I think the reason why some of the video games are not either canceled or not being completed is that I think the storylines that they're trying to come up with failing or not meeting expectations for the fans, and I think that's one. And the reason, I think the other reason would be, of course, EA, because of money, and they have the rights in for this most of the Star Wars gaming. So maybe we'll get by.
I think that's also a big mistake, is having one company, have the rights for most of the Star Wars gaming. Because back in the day, you had, and also I'm really pissed off about them taking Kyle Katarn out of canon, because now I don't get to play Jedi Outcast and have it be canon anymore. The old games where you had, LucasArts was usually the one that put out all the games, but they'd work in conjunction with any number of other game studios to put out really good games, which is why you got things like Force Unleashed, which is why you got the first Force Unleashed, because we all know my opinion on the second Force Unleashed. It's shit. It should never have been made. Pardon my language. And you get really good games like, Knights of the Old Republic with that type of combination. But when you have one studio that just does the same thing over and over again, EA Games challenge everything. No, you're not, dude. All you're doing is knocking off Battlefield over and over again, so stop. And then making games where you have to pay the cost of the game again to get all the full content. So,
I mean, EA Sports used to be good. Like,
yeah, and I mean, EA also did part of the Need for Speed series. That was great, but that's where their forte lies. Their forte does not lie in making expansive, immersive games, which is what the Star Wars fans want, because that is an expansive, immersive universe. It is a fantasy universe. You can't make a first-person shooter Battlefield type game and have them get the sense of contentment and the sense of completion that you get from playing a good Star Wars game, watching one of the movies, and being immersed in that universe.
Right, and the last few Battlefronts, I couldn't get into it because of some of the storyline, and of course I played a little bit of the trials before it came out, and it was fun, but didn't meet my expectations to fully buy it, and everyone got really angry at them. So
it's interesting. It's fascinating that we've gotten to that point in gaming, Sean, where we're having these discussions that we're saying, you know what, they got to try something new. And it's like with the available canon stories, technology, and all these companies that do exist in the gaming world, you'd think that, yeah, Lucasfilm goes out and they bring different directors onto their films. Why can't they be bringing different companies on to do Star Wars games? That's a format that has won them over so far and has won the fandom over. It should translate across the board. And you would think, being as large of a corporation as they would be, that's the corporate format. If something's working, you do not stray away from it. You only make it better. And you find different ways.
Don't fix it.
Basically.
Right.
And let me say this to you guys, because this is my first time being on one of the video gaming episodes with you guys and really talking to you guys about the video game world. Do you think that with all of these concerns and everybody looking for something different, but we still reflect upon how awesome some of those old games were, with all these great cinematic moments in terms of some of the stuff we saw in Force Awakens and obviously The Last Jedi, when we see specifically the Dreadnought at the very beginning. Do we need another Rogue Squadron, but playing out? I would love to play out the Dreadnought scene with Poe Dameron. Bring in the Resistance bombers. Play out that opening scene just in a Rogue Squadron style. Have Princess Leia or General Leia come in through my headset and saying, our job is to take out the Dreadnought.
I am actually really, really glad that you brought that up, because Rogue Squadron for the N64 was one of my favorite games. And then Rogue Leader for the GameCube, also a fantastic game. Both of which introduced new elements. The first one, you had all these ships that never showed up in the movies, but you could still play as. And then you also had the advent of all the stuff that showed up in like the essential guides to vehicles and vessels. Showed up in Rogue Leader. So now I think it would be really cool if they did like a Rogue Squadron 3 type thing, where what's Poe Dameron's squadron's name? Black Squadron or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So why not have a Star Wars Rogue Squadron Black or Black Squadron?
Yeah.
And then do that. You have the updated X-Wings. You've got the new Imperial ships or Imperial First Order ships. You got Kylo Ren's TIE Silencer. You got the SF TIE Fighters. Playing as a TIE Silencer would be amazing. You play as the New Millennium Falcon, the bombers. You can go ahead and what's the other? What is that other ship?
From which one?
The one, and then you could throw in like the ships from the Clone Wars. Ahsoka and I can never remember the name of the ship. You could play as the Ghost. You could detach the Phantom, play as the Phantom. Do anything like that. That'd be cool. You could get a co-op mode going with that. One person plays as the Phantom, one person plays as the Ghost. Anything like that. There's so many possibilities for that because there's so much new technology.
And also, I'm just thinking about this, Sean. Playing the Battle of Crate, getting to be in a ski speeder would be absolutely fantastic. And trying to knock out the big gun before it tries to take a shot at the Rebel base. That would be so much fun.
It really would.
Have it kind of like not open world type, but more like kind of like something like what Naughty Dog do, like Uncharted or Last of Us, like that type of style video game. I think that would be really cool. Have that type of video games for your idea, Robin.
Yeah, and I'm just looking it up real quickly. It was actually mentioned in The Last Jedi when they were talking about Amilyn Holdo, obviously Admiral Holdo, that she was that was during the there was a specific battle in which she earned her respect from Princess Leia that I really would like some more information from. And it was on the Ninka, Cruiser Ninka, where it happened. And I'm trying to find what the name of that battle was.
Now, the two original Battlefront games, not the new ones, but the older Battlefronts. The fact that you could go out into space in that as well, that was kind of, it was terrible controls for that. Terrible dogfighting controls. You didn't really have a whole lot of options, but I think that they could take that aspect of it and just expand on what they already have and just add in the new ships. And then maybe even add an aspect onto the game where instead of piloting a fighter, you're actually taking control of the command vessel and coordinating the fighter assault, but also coordinating your ship itself to take on the other capital ships. Because the aspect of taking out a few turbo laser batteries, shooting a shield generator and shooting the engines and having a Star Destroyer explode, that was completely unrealistic. Didn't work for me in those games, in the Battlefront games. So maybe they could take it to a larger scale. Kind of like they did in Empire at War.
Like,
but
I just thought I'd have a Star Wars game, kind of like what you said, but have it like a little bit like No Man's Sky, but better. From different planets and go meet. It would be kind of like you build your own starships. You create your own character. It would kind of be like MMO, but have it No Man's Sky version of it, and go to different planets. You go to Kashyyyk.
So like the old Galaxy
whatever.
Because Galaxies, once you got off that first planet, you're up on the space station. You got yourself a ship. You could fly around. You could dogfight, have all fun stuff like that. Then you could travel to other planets, other worlds. Like, that was a phenomenal aspect.
Like, it'd be like online. Like, you'd be fighting. You could fight with different players in space for shooting around and all that, and it'd be kind of like your own little space battle. You get a bunch.
So it'd be like Galaxy's reboot.
Playing on it.
Yeah.
Absolutely happy with the reboot of Galaxies, because that's what they tried to do with Old Republic, and they just did not do a very good job. At least in my opinion. I know there's a lot of people who like Old Republic. I get that. I respect that. I miss Galaxies. I miss the setup they had with that. That was a hell of a game. And I was so super upset when my bounty hunter got deleted when they shut the service down.
Yep.
Now, Robin, I didn't ask you about this before, but kind of going a little off topic, but what was your favorite Star Wars game growing up, and what was your favorite Star Wars game at all? Because James and I talked about it on our first episode, and
we should also ask him the other question: what was the first Star Wars game you ever played? Too.
Oh, okay. All right. So, for me, my favorite of all time, still to this day, is Shadows of the Empire. That is still one of my favorites just because of that experience I had on N64. However, I think if I was to put another one out there, I love Pod Racer. I love everything that game was. It was a chance to really have a racing game in Star Wars without going to Mario Kart with it. It was really a lot of fun, and it was great to play against Sebulba and to also be Anakin Skywalker too. That was a lot of fun. And actually, my first Star Wars game that I ever played was the TIE Fighter computer game, which was so much fun. They introduced they had the concept for the TIE Striker, the TIE Bomber, also the TIE that we see used in Star Wars Rebels that was under the
TIE Defender.
The TIE Defender, that of course.
That's actually an old canon model that they brought back into it because it was just so incredibly badass.
Yeah. And it was through that game in which we were introduced to it. So when we saw that in Rebels, it's like, whoa, they're bringing back an aspect from Star Wars that we grew up with and we loved through that game. And that was huge for me. I have to say the TIE Fighter computer game was just so much fun. Star Wars TIE Fighter, I guess I think that was the proper name for it. But
now this when Sean and I were talking about this last time, I mentioned that the first Star Wars games I ever played was the old, 1980s Game Boy Star Wars. I think it was The Empire Strikes Back was the first one I played, and then I played the other two. So I did not have a good run with Star Wars games for a while.
No, I'm on the same boat, Robin. We both played the pod racing game, and that was a ton of fun. So,
oh yeah, that's definitely one of the better.
Especially when it was split screen playing against my brother.
Oh yeah, that's true. What, James? What are you taking out the saber for, man?
I got to take it out because I need a little bit more light in here. This just adds like a cool effect. Yeah, on one side of my face and this on the other side of my face.
Cutting my face in half, like you said.
Anyway, but did you ever? Now, Robin, we actually discussed this last time, and Sean and I also agreed that one of our favorite Star Wars games of all time was the Star Wars Bounty Hunter game for GameCube,
yes,
where you get to run around and play as Jango Fett.
Yep.
That was a fun game. Like, that was actually a really well done game.
It was. It was well done, and the one thing about it too is that growing up in the time of the prequels, both of you can understand this. Jango Fett was pretty badass. He was the one
Yeah.
that we kind of, Halloween costumes, everybody wanted to be Jango Fett right around the time of Attack of the Clones and right up until Revenge of the Sith. It was such a great character, and obviously for us who grew up with the original films as well, it was like, whoa, this is the son of Boba Fett. Let's give him a game. Let's give him some backstory. Let's give him something to work with here.
It was different.
That bounty hunter game was also difficult too, and that's why I liked it.
It was very hard.
That's why I didn't play it all. Because I couldn't pass it, and I was young. I was like, "Oh, this is tough." Even on like,
well, I had a few more years on you when I started my run with it. But no, that was one of the better games. And then if we go back even further, you had Jedi Knight and Jedi Knight, Jedi Outcast, Jedi Academy. Jedi Outcast, obviously. Can't play that anymore because Kyle Katarn's not canon. So get with the program and make Kyle Katarn canon again because he's the best character ever made in Star Wars. And take Dash Rendar out of it because worst character ever made in Star Wars.
Yeah, that's true. The damn IG-88 part of Shadows of the Empire.
IG-88 game?
I love IG-88, but tell me, I got to that scene, and if you made it through the jumping through the train carts part of that game, and you finally got to that part, and IG-88 was just being a pain in the ass at that point, and he was just running around on top of trash piles, you were just like, dude, get the heck down here because I want to shoot your head off. It ended up becoming one of those things. And
that was like the Gwyn Lord of Cinder from Dark Souls of that game.
Oh, it made me so mad. I can remember breaking 2 Nintendo 64 controllers and having to go to GameStop and buy 2 more because of that one part of that game.
Those controls were really hard. Like even trying to fly and jump, I like fly and then just jump down and die. It was like Crash Bandicoot style, like trying to jumping and all that.
Yeah.
I was like, really?
There are a lot of glitches in the Shadows of the Empire.
I mean, not.
Yeah. I mean, the game was not set up very well, but the storyline was awesome. The gameplay was fun.
That's fun.
And they always had like those stupid little Nintendo one-liners to throw out in the middle of the game. So that was fun. But admittedly, the game control setup was not very good.
Listen, John, James, one of the things I'd love to do, and I think I'm going to talk to Caden Stetler and Jake down at Rebel Cause Rebel Chatter, is that if we make it down to Pennsylvania very soon, which is going to happen very soon, I think it is in the works that we enjoy a Shadows of the Empire. Every time you fall off that train, you have to take a shot. I think we have to do that.
Guy, I'm going to be hammered. I don't think you're ready for that. No, I'm planning on heading down there. Caden, you already know this, man. I'm planning on heading down there late March, early April at some point, whether you're coming with me or not, Robin.
Oh, I'm coming.
I already challenged Caden to a duel. His foot's better now. We got to fight.
Really? We're going to do it.
Yep. It's happening.
It determines who's the better video game player.
Good question.
I got this.
Yeah.
He's sipping his tea.
Damn right I am. Double bergamot Earl Grey because I am classy.
There you go. He's pulling it right from the Scott Inch wagon, getting his tea ready.
No, Scott gets Tetley. That stuff is $1.50 for a box. I'm sorry, Mr. Inch. You are Scottish, but you do not know good tea if it hits you right in the face. This is Stash Tea. This got bought for me by one of the most amazing person that I know. She bought me a box of double bergamot Earl Grey and a box of double spice black chai. And let me tell you, buddy, this is classy tea. Your Tetley is not.
Tetley.
Sorry, $1.50. It's like 80p.
Oh.
I love you, Scott.
Cheers to you. Oh man,
he takes all the shit that I give him so well.
That's awesome.
That's what friends are for, though.
That's right. That is right. So, Sean, anything else on the docket that I should know about when it comes to video games and Star Wars?
Gripes, concern,
I think that wraps just about it because James has a date later on.
Yeah, in about 45 minutes.
Cool. Nice.
And
Sounds like fun.
Oh, it will be. It will be.
The face.
you gotta use some great Stars pickup lines. Remember that.
Do or do not. There is no try.
Can we quickly talk about James and I going back and forth with our Kermit and Fozzie Bear?
So she was sitting there listening to that too. That
Oh
was
my
great.
goodness. Oh, Sean, I don't know if you know, but James and I were going back and forth, and we were doing Fozzie Bear and Kermit impressions the entire time. And
It was a messenger conversation, but it ended up just being voice clips for a little while. And I was like, "Can you please just give it to Fozzie?"
it was just ridiculous.
That's hilarious.
Maybe I'll put that into episodes. Maybe I'll just throw those in there.
Hey, Robin.
Yeah.
It's not easy being green.
Oh, hey,
the great part about being colorblind is I assume this is green.
Oh no, you never told me that.
I'm red-green colorblind. We've been over this several times.
And that's so you don't even know what color saber you bought then.
It looks yellow to me. I mean, I selected consular green on the thing, so I'm assuming it's consular green. So if I just did, it's not easy being green, and it's not green, I just look like an asshole. So
Sorry, it's actually red. You got the
I
wrong
can tell
color.
the difference, you fuck.
Oh man!
Bleep that last part for the children.
Oh, you know it. It's there'll be so many TIE Fighter sounds edited into this. It's crazy.
Is Brian the one who does the editing still?
Oh, I do the editing on this one. So.
Ah, damn! I was just gonna go off on like a 10-minute rant of all the worst curse words I know, just to see what happens.
That's awesome.
Just kidding, Brian.
Where did you use the clip from the SpongeBob episode with the dolphins again?
Yes.
Please don't.
Please don't. No.
No.
Hey, listen, I just watched SpongeBob, the entire series, for the first time in my life. And, yeah.
Were you satisfied and then disappointed?
I was satisfied and then disappointed, then shocked, and then slightly embarrassed, and then a little bit angry. So it was kind of like my marriage.
Yeah, that pretty sums up the SpongeBob season.
Robin, I don't know if you saw the hilt to this thing yet.
I like that. Is that brass knuckles? Like the concept of brass knuckles built?
No, it's like I think it's supposed to be like a guard or something. Mm-hmm. But there's one at the top that goes along the bottom part of the blade, and there's one at the bottom which just kind of like goes at the bottom of the hand like this. So I'm kind of concerned about what it's supposed to be used for, and I think I might have been better off getting a red blade with this one. I don't think the Jedi were overly into like eye gouging and shit like that.
Wow.
Any last thoughts and questions about video games, Robin?
No, I think we're just kind of like on a tangent now.
Yeah, I think we pretty much covered a lot of the awesome stuff that is going on right now. One last question proposed. What do you guys think of the future of what do we see? Like, I know there's some VR games that have came out for Star Wars. Do we actually kind of see that like more expanding and all that? And because I would love to have a full-on VR Star Wars game.
Fully immersive?
I think that they're trying to do that a little bit with the experimentation VR that they're doing at Disney parks, and then I can't remember. It's Galaxy of something. And
oh no!
And they're really trying out the fully immersive VR right now at Disney with some of the fans, and they're trying to do some different stuff, Sean. So I think that that's the direction we're going to go down, is almost like the 4D experience where you can feel things. You can feel heat. You can feel the rain coming down.
You can feel the force.
You can feel the force.
You get like...
You actually get pushed.
Really cool. Yeah, you get pushed in the aim, but you feel it.
Yes, exactly.
Somehow. We don't know how they're going to do that, but...
Well, probably the way that they usually do it with, hope.
Dude, get some laundry done back there. Jeez.
What?
Okay, there,
Get
James.
some laundry done back there.
I just did laundry. You judge me about that right there?
No, it's the basket at the top.
That's Alan's stuff that he left here, dude.
Oh, no.
The stuff I got to send to him.
Oh,
Come on,
no.
Robin.
I'm sorry.
Stop judging.
I'm not.
Which actually, this whole Lancaster trip actually has a dual purpose because I'm going to bring some of that stuff with me. And at some point, I'm going to stop off in Carnegie where he's at and visit him and drop off some of this stuff. So,
there you go. Well done.
Dual purpose. It's like dual wielding.
Yeah, exactly. But Sean, I think that's a really good point about the expansive VR. I think that there's definitely a possibility that Star Wars is going to look into bringing that into the household at some point. Whether that's personal chambers that you can put into your house, like little squared off sections. But yeah, so
Right.
Yeah, that's the future.
I have foreseen it.
He has foreseen it.
I have foreseen it.
He's foreseen it.
Anyway, guys.
Cool. Hey, is that time to show, Sean?
Any last thoughts?
What's that?
James, any last thoughts?
Oh, no. It's, for the future Star Wars gaming, the way I see it, the trend that I'm seeing, I'm not liking. And it started with, again, we all know my opinion on The Force Unleashed 2. It is the worst Star Wars game ever made. It is absolute shit. It should not have been made. And if they did decide to make it again, it should have been made better because the storyline in that was absolute garbage. And I'm seeing a definite downward turn with how excited I am about Star Wars games, but certainly hoping that they might make something better in the near future. Excuse me.
Yeah, I think we're all hoping for that. Robin, what about you?
I think that you
got
brought
your
up,
thoughts.
I think you brought it up, Sean, and that was kind of the point that I made with this was that VR is definitely going to be the future of what they're going to try to do with the fully immersible. Sorry, the submersible would be cool. Let's bring us back down into the scene with Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan and the giant Google monster. And let's
Big Google fish.
big Google fish. Let's bring us back to that moment.
Cocoa Puffs.
The best part of that scene is when Jar Jar passed out and didn't talk anymore.
Yes, Jim Roberts would agree with you, James.
That's like the only thing that me and Jim agree on, too.
That's true. But that's my
I
final
like the
thoughts.
prequel.
I said that's my final thoughts on that.
All right, I think it's that time the end of the show, guys.
Oh, it's that time.
Which time?
Time for what?
Time for to get a new watch.
Much time? Ooh, hey, wait, no, the time where you what's in socket and
Socks,
God,
lights, plug, time?
plug, yeah, plug. That's it.
Plug time.
Oh. Plug in.
Time.
Plug out time. We're gonna plug out. Now plug in, but plug out. Okay. Robin, where can I find you on social media?
Oh, sorry. You guys can follow.
Yeah, you're Robin.
You guys can follow me. Over
where
on
can
Twitter.
they find you?
The good people can follow me over on Twitter at Mr. Vote Tweets. Please make sure to head on over to Instagram, follow me, and all my tomfoolery. Yes, I did say that. At the official vote. Please make sure to send over that friend request over on Facebook and do all that awesome stuff at BrickCityBlockade.com. So much great stuff on the horizon. Prepare yourselves for March. That is going to be quite a month here at the network. So,
Yes.
James, where can I find you?
You guys can find me on Facebook, and it's pretty easy to find me through the Brick City Blockade Podcast Network page. You can also find me newly on Twitter because I have learned how to technology somewhat. It's not very interesting yet. I'm gonna figure out how to get that one. I am not really him. There's I'm not really him. No apostrophe, no spaces. 9.
Wait, you're not really him?
I'm not really him. I don't have the soul. I'm not really James Brown. I just kind of stole his name. Actually, my parents stole his name, but that's a whole other story. You can also find me pretty much nowhere else because I still have not learned how to technology with the best of them yet. So, yeah, you can find me on Facebook or Twitter.
cool.
You'll learn. And you guys could find me on Twitter at ShamaShow1. Follow my Instagram at ItZoneZ. Follow me music at Bandcamp.
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 There we go. Waiting for that. And SoundCloud as Zone Z. New music coming out real soon, and end of the month of this. I think it's going to be. Let me check the date of the. I think it's 2 weeks from Friday. I think it'll be coming out. So, and you can find me on Facebook, and you can follow the Big City Blockade on Twitter. Follow our page on Facebook, and visit our TeePublic site and our website on BigCityBlockade.com.
Awesome.
And what we always say on this podcast: may the force be with you.
May the force be with you.
Always.
Always and forever. Lightsabers signing off. I don't have a lightsaber, so I get this pen.